So, how can we stay happy and positive, irregardless of whatever happens in your life? I had a carefree childhood. I was born under a lucky star. At the age of 21, I moved to the beautiful mountains of Switzerland, where I did what I loved most, and I became one of the best snowboarders in the world. At the age of 27, in the year 2000, my life changed completely. Cancer, bone cancer, in my lower leg, right above my ankle joint. And since the tumor was already in the periosteum, I had no other option than to choose for amputation. Although the doctors told me I would never snowboard again, I was determined to pick up my passion. And only 7 months later, I was back on my snowboard, competing at the Dutch Championships and winning myself a gold medal. That day, I did not only win a gold medal, no, I thought I'd beaten cancer. But boy, was I wrong. Because in the years 2004 up until 2015, the cancer came back 5 times in my lungs. And each time, the doctor had to cut pieces of my lung. And in May 2016, again, the cancer was back, but this time in my hilus. And to be honest, I had no idea what a hilus was. Well, I've learned it's a central spot in your body, just above your lungs. And since my tumor doesn't respond to chemotherapy, and radiation therapy or surgery were too dangerous in that area, the doctor sent me home with the message, "I'm sorry, Bibian, you are going to die." That evening, I had to do the most hard thing in my life. I had to tell my children that I was going to die. But we always tell our children, no matter how bad the situation might look, never ever let it ruin your future. That evening, we had a good cry. And we ended up in a restaurant celebrating life. And the next few months, I slept amazingly well, but my husband didn't. He searched the internet for hours and hours, trying to look for a solution. And he found out there was a new way of radiation therapy. I underwent that therapy, and look, I'm still here. In the summer of 2017, I decided to take a little break from snowboarding. And normally speaking, I'm always training in in summertime on the glacier. But now we decided to go for the first time in 6 years to the summer holiday. And when we got back, I had the sport medical exam. And again, they found some tumor, this time in my neck. This was also obviously a shock. But on top of that, I also got this bacterial infection. This made me really weak, lost totally all my powers. I got into the hospital, didn't eat for about 2 weeks' time, lost 10 kilos, and by the time I was, at that time, I was in a wheelchair almost, could barely walk, and was totally weak and low. At that point, we had to start radiation therapy. And after halfway down my therapy, I was feeling so weak that we asked the doctors if we could take a little break. I started slowly eating again. I got stronger, and by the time I was strong enough to resume my therapy, it was already too late. Because my vertebrae was about to collapse, and if that would happen, I would break my neck, and that would put me in a wheelchair permanently. Luckily, my doctors always look for solutions. And they told me they wanted to remove my vertebrae and give me a new vertebrae out of titanium. I asked the doctor if I had any other option. And then they basically said, "Bibian, I'm sorry to tell you, no, you have to do this. But if we do this, hopefully you'll be back on your snowboard as soon as possible." So on the 3rd of January this year, after a surgery of 16 hours, I woke up with this beautiful neck out of titanium. How do you like my permanent jewelry? The past 18 years have been a roller coaster of a lot of lows, but luckily also some beautiful highs. I never stopped dreaming, and I always kept following my passion. I started a lobby and got snowboarding into the Paralympic program. I won 128 gold medals, of which 7 times world champion, and 3 gold medals at the Paralympic Games. At the same time, I'm a proud mother of 3 beautiful children, a beautiful 15-year-old son, and 2 beautiful stepdaughters of 19 years old. I'm an author of 4 books, and I work as a motivational speaker. And I started my own foundation, because I truly believe that mentality can make a big difference. I had experienced it myself. Within 1 week of time, I went from being an athlete to being a disabled person. And as an athlete, the funny thing is that people tend to look up to you. They put you on a pedestal and think you're capable of doing everything. You eat healthy, you don't drink any alcohol. But a week later, I was all of a sudden disabled. And now people were telling me what I could not do. And this made me really rebellious. Because, let's be honest, the more and more people were telling me what I could not do, the more I wanted to prove them wrong. And up until now, 18 years later, I still have never found anything yet what I cannot do because of the fact that I'm missing a leg. And if I can do that, I'm pretty sure other people can do that too with a physical disability. So that's basically what we tried to show with our Mentelity Foundation. Just show kids and youngsters what they're still capable of doing although they're having a physical disability. Well, this is basically the backbone of my life. And back to the question. So how do we stay happy and positive, irregardless of whatever happens in your life? And what's your pot of gold at the end of that rainbow? Well, I always try to live by 5 very simple rules. And I'd like to share them with you. Rule number 1. Focus on the possibilities instead of the disability. Don't ever let society tell you what you cannot do. For example, my leg. After my amputation, 7 months later, I was back on my snowboard, winning a gold medal. Then, rule number 2. You always have a choice in life. Maybe you'll have to choose between 2 evils. But you know what? You just have to do it, and it will be your choice. Life can be scary. Life's not easy. But did we ever solve problems by worrying? Life is like jumping off a cliff, being scared to crash. But you know you will crash. It will happen. The only thing you don't know is how high is that cliff, and how long will it take before you crash. So, are we going to worry the whole flight down, or are we going to enjoy the flight? Well, rule number 3, and this has to do with ostriches, because I believe that ostriches might not be as stupid as you think they are. Stick your head into the ground from time to time. Obviously, this is not going to solve any of your problems, but it is going to release you from your sorrow. And maybe you have some time to have fun as well during doing that. And obviously, it would look very funny if more people would do that, like this, at the beach. A man once asked me, Bibian, how can you stay positive knowing that death is standing on your doorstep? Well, I've got bad news for you, because death is sitting next to everyone. In Europe alone, 5,000 perfectly healthy people go to bed every night, not making it until the end of next day. I might know that cancer could be my death's name, but if we talk about only this year, I'm more likely to die in a car accident, or heart attack, or maybe in an avalanche. This gets me to rule number 4. Collect memories instead of chasing possessions. Because if you ask the elderly what they cherish and remember most in life, they will not show you pictures of their beautiful house or car. No, they will tell you beautiful stories about all the beautiful memories they have. Now, my last and final rule, rule number 5, to me is the most important rule. Never, ever stop dreaming, and always keep following your passion. Because I truly believe that if you keep following your passion, you automatically become the best version of yourself, which means the best partner, the best friend, and the best mother. This coming Monday, I'll have to go to the hospital again. And I already know that there's some spots growing in my lungs again. And we'll have to see what we can do about this. But you know what? Tomorrow morning, I'll be taking off, flying to Barcelona, and I'll eat tapas, I'll drink wine, I'll dance, I'll make love to my husband, because life's not measured by how many breaths we take. No, it's about the moments that take our breath away. Thank you very much.